What is going on? It's Gamers Goon here today with my NBA 2020 mock draft 1.0. There will be a 2.0 coming out the day before the draft next week, but this is the 1.0. This won't be having trades. Next version will be, and we're starting it off hot with the Minnesota Timberwolves being on the clock at number 1. We look at their roster. Malik Beasley is the guy that I think could be okay for them. D'Angelo Russell, obviously, going to be the starter for them in the future. Well, in the future, next season, he's going to be the guy. They're not going to start Malik Beasley over D'Angelo Russell. This website's a little weird. This is really the only website I could find that I could do a mock draft on so that you guys can visually see it. But we have Jarrett Culver. I think he's coming into his own, or at least he will come into his own. Towns, obviously, there. I think we all know how great Towns is. But when you look at this team lacks some forwards. Josh Okogie, he's all right. Juancho Hernan-Gomez, he's alright. Jake Layman, he's alright. But they don't have anything special. And unfortunately, I don't categorize the guy I'm going to give him as a forward. I think he is more of a shooting guard in this league. But I think the backcourt is going to be good enough that you can forget the forwards. It's going to be a very dynamic scoring backcourt with Anthony Edwards out of Georgia going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The only other guy I really had as a selection opportunity here for the Timberwolves that I was kind of picking between was Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball. They make the most sense here. I don't think they go James Wiseman. I've been hearing some rumors that maybe they go center. Maybe they just get their center because Cat kind of likes to play the stretch. He kind of likes to play the 4 instead of the actual center's position. But I think they're going to stick to their guns. I think they're going to say, you know what? We're going Anthony Edwards. He has a very high upside. I think he also has a very, very big bust potential. He's kind of reminiscent of what Dion Waiters is. He's a scorer coming out. He doesn't have the defensive knack yet. He's lazy on defense at points. Maybe that's just because he was on a bad Georgia team. But this guy is somebody that I'm going to keep a close eye on. At points, he looked like he's just athletically better than everybody, so he really didn't have to try at times. Kind of lacks the energy and drive that some of the other guys down the line do have. But I think it's all about the consensus pick. I think it's a no-brainer if you're Minnesota. Anthony Edwards has been associated with Minnesota throughout the last few weeks. Heading into this draft, I think that's the only way to go if you're Minnesota. Then we get into the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Warriors are a very interesting team. They are a team that I believe will compete for a championship next year. Jordan Poole, good player. Kai Bowman, I think he could be solid in the rotation. Steph Curry, obviously he's going to be back. Lee, he's okay. Andrew Wiggins, somebody that I think is a little bit underrated. Obviously, he came into the league with a lot of high praise, a lot of high hopes. He was going to be the next... He's going to be the next, who was it? Next LeBron or whatever his comparison was. He was going to be something great, and he just didn't end up living to that. But Wiggins has been good. He's been solid. You got Klay Thompson. He should be back. Draymond Green. Obviously, we know Draymond Green's story. He's an undersized guy out of Michigan State. He gets the job done. He's a scrappy guy. Eric Pascal. He really came into his own last year without the main guys in Golden State being there. And then I look at this. I look at the center spot. We got Marquise Chris. We got Kevon Looney. That kind of is a downgrade. Now, the Warriors do like to play small ball. They do like to kind of win by being faster and just being an up-tempo team. But at the end of the day, I don't think he passed this opportunity up. I think there's 2 big men in this draft that are top 10 worthy. I think there's 2 big man like centers that I would be comfortable taking here. And I actually prefer the other one over the one I'm going to take here. But I am taking James Wiseman for them. The other guys in the consideration for them is Onyeka Okongwu, who I believe is the best center in this year's draft. I really like his game out of USC. And then also LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball, he's just a guy that if you're a team that is not going to pick him, he's obviously going to be in the running to be picked. He has high potential, but he also has very high potential to be a risk. You're bringing in the personality of LeVar. From what I've heard, his virtual meetings with coaches have been going terribly. His private workouts haven't been going so well. he's played against some the Australian League for a few years. I feel like he's not matured to the level as some of the other guys that went through the college process, just because LaMelo's really been in the ball bubble. I don't really feel like he's grown up to that level. That's what when they were coming out with stories of how he was kind of just bombing his team meetings. That didn't surprise me, because to me he's still a kid. So James Wiseman makes the most sense here for them. If I'm them, I'm not worrying about taking LaMelo. LaMelo's going to demand shots. You got Curry, you got Clay. They don't need shots to be taken away from them. Get a guy that can get you a rebound, kick it out, get some points in the paint. That's James Wiseman for you guys. Next, we got the Charlotte Hornets. Now, the Charlotte Hornets are a very interesting team here. You look at their roster, they should not really... If I'm being honest with you, what I see the biggest need here for them is center, to be quite honest. But Terry Rozier, he's solid. He could be a backup on most teams, maybe a starter on some. Well, he's a starter on the Hornets team. Devante Graham, a guy I really like. He came into his own last year. He was doing a really solid job last year. He demanded a lot of shots. He had some upside there for him. Malik Monk's been pretty solid for him off the bench. Miles Bridges, a guy that you guys should know that I love. One of my favorite players coming out of Michigan State. He's just an athletic dude. He's developed a three-point shot over the last year or so. It'll be interesting. Nick Batum, you can't really get rid of him. He has a deep contract. Dwayne Bacon, P.J. Washington, he had some good games last year. Obviously, there's going to be some downside to P.J. Washington, but he is able to stretch the floor, which is good for them. And then you have Jalen McDaniels, my bad. But then we get over here. I'm looking at this, and I already know, because I have it written down on my side what I'm going with. But really, the only thing I can really think for them is they need a guy. They don't have a guy. Devante Graham, he's not a guy. He's a second option. I'm sorry to say it. He's not a guy that they're going to put their team on. Center, I don't think you get it in Onyeka Okongwu. I love Onyeka Okongwu. I think he might be one of the best players, if not the best player in this year's draft, outside of Obi Toppin. But I don't see the Hornets taking Obi Toppin. I actually see them going with the very high potential, very high boomer bust pick here. They're going with the biggest personality in this year's draft, and they're going with LaMelo Ball. It's a risky pick to take if you're asking me. A lot of people think he could go number one, just because he has that much potential. But then again, it's also very nerve-wracking that he hasn't played against the NBA-type talent. He's playing against the Australian-type talent. He's playing against the talent that doesn't necessarily always translate to the NBA. He really never grew up, it seems like. So, I mean, it's concerning on some points. If I'm sitting there and he's going to demand shots, he should be able to get him here. Devante Graham, he'll take his shots. You'll have LaMelo Ball take his shots. Terry Rozier doesn't necessarily demand shots, but he could take a few here and there. Miles Bridges, he plays off ball. He doesn't necessarily need shots. P.J. Washington, off ball guy. And then you got to focus big man later on. But I guess LaMelo Ball is going to be a Charlotte Hornet in my mock draft. Let me get to my Chicago Bulls, baby. I got one guy on mind. Oh, wait, my bad. Did I tell you who the Charlotte Hornets had in their other two? It was Onyeka Okongwu and Obi Toppin. Like I said, in my opinion, those are the two best players in this year's draft. So, it's self-explanatory. But, here we go. We're the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls. They're on the clock. Let's look at the roster real quick so I can break it down. Look at first off, Chris Dunn's not a small forward. Let's get that. We need forward help. They're not going to sit there and tell you they need forward help. But Kobe White's a guard. He's a point guard. He could be a shooting guard, scoring guard, whatever you want to call it. But he's more of a point guard. Chris Dunn, I have him as a backup point guard. Otto Porter, he hasn't done much for us. He's been very underwhelming for us. Then we got CMO Hutchinson, Chandler Hutchinson. He hasn't shown much. He's out of Boise State. He was okay, but he really hasn't shown anything. Denzel Valentine, he might not even be on the team after this year. And we're still waiting for him to find a consistent role within the offense. He's supposed to be a 3-and-D kind of guy, but he's not necessarily a knockdown three-point shooter. He can hit them. He has those good games, but not on a consistent basis. Shaq Harrison, he's okay. Max Struss, why are we even considering him? He shouldn't even be on the roster. Lauri Markkanen, he's really not even developed yet. He's really not developed. I don't. We're still waiting for Lowry to reach his full potential. I don't know if he's going to make it in Chicago. And then we got Thad Young. Thad Young, a guy that he's not going to blow you away with anything, but he'll give you some solid minutes. Then we got Wendell. Wendell's one of my guys. Wendell's a hustler. I love him. Cristiano Felicio, please get out of Chicago. Luke Cornett, please get out of Chicago. Daniel Gafford, another guy I like. Big hustler, very athletic, big man out of Arkansas. But the three names I'm looking at if I'm Mark Eversley, the general manager of the Bulls, I'm thinking of Denny Avdija, I'm thinking of Obi Toppin, and I am thinking of... Is he on this list? I don't think he's... Yeah, I'm going to have to go around because, yeah, this is stupid. But the guy that I've been praising the entire time... Is he considered a center on this list? I don't know. He is not. But Onyeka Okongwu out of the University of Southern California. Those are the three guys I'm looking at. Onyeka Okongwu, to me, seems like the safest bet. He has a very well-rounded game. I don't think his floor is very low. I think he could be a very good player. But the problem is, we have two bigs. We have Lowry and Wendell. And to me, Onyeka Okongwu kind of reminds me of Wendell, except a little bit more athletic and a little bit more offensively driven. Wendell, he's not going to necessarily take initiative offensively. He'll do pick and roll. He can hit some spot ups here and there. But Onyeka Okongwu is the guy you want to feed. And I don't want to get rid of Wendell. I'd rather get rid of Lowry. And I just don't know if that's going to happen. And that leads me to the small forward issue that I think we have, because Otto Porter is not convincing me. And I think Obi Toppin at 6 foot, I believe he's 6'9". I think he could play small forward and power forward if we need him to. So I'm really excited to see Obi Toppin in the league. Hopefully it is as a Chicago Bull. Like I said, Denny Avdija and Onyeka Okongwu were my runners-up for that spot. Let me get into Cleveland. Cleveland is a team that they're a few years away still, I would say. You're still waiting for Darius Garland to come around. He obviously just had his rookie year. You're still waiting for Colin Sexton to fully come out. You need to get rid of Tristan Thompson, but we're not going to talk about that right now. But you have time to wait, and because you have time to wait, I think you're going to take the player that I think a lot of people are kind of salivating over. I think a lot of people want this guy, but they're just not willing to wait and be patient just because it takes time to develop EuroLeague players, and that guy is Denny Avdija out of Israel. I think he's going to be a very solid player. I wouldn't mind if he came to Chicago. I just don't think Chicago has much time to wait because we do have Zach's contract coming up in, I believe, 2 years. Lowry, he has his player or team option from his draft coming up. Wendell has it coming up. We don't have much time. We got to figure out if the guys on our roster are really the guys that we can go forward with. And I think we need to get the 22-year-old Obi Toppin. But Denny Avdija, I would love to have. He's a very decent shooter. He can hit threes contested. The problem with him is he's not a consistent free throw shooter. He can make plays in the EuroLeague. I'm not sure if he'll be able to translate that into the NBA. There's been plenty of times where the league hasn't seen the translation from EuroLeague to NBA. Obviously, Dirk and Luka being the two major exceptions. But I think Denny Avdija is definitely in the running here for a top 5 pick, and I'm definitely going to say that if he's there, I could see Cleveland doing it. For them, their backup options were Onyeka Okongwu and Isaac Okoro for them. Then we get into the Atlanta Hawks. We look at this team. You got Trae Young. He's a scorer. John Collins. He could be a scorer. Cam Reddish. Kind of supposed to be a scorer. Kind of like a 3-and-D kind of guy, but yet to prove it himself as a scorer. Daniel Hunter. Or my bad, DeAndre Hunter. Kevin Huerter, he can score. But, I mean, Hunter's a good defender. Why don't you add another good defender? Why don't you actually add the best defender in the draft in Isaac Okoro, shooting guard? I think you can run him at small forward here in the league. I wouldn't be opposed to taking Isaac Okoro for most teams, but he's not going to be an immediate factor offensively. You're getting him for his defense now to be impactful, and you're kind of hoping that the offensive game develops. As you can see here, he did average 12 points and 2 assists. But his offensive game really hasn't even developed yet. But he could easily make the big plays, the steals, to get the ball down the court to Trae Young, to throw oops to John Collins, to make those big plays and keep the fast-paced tempo with the two young guys running the show in Atlanta. I think Isaac Okoro would be a very solid pickup if you're the Hawks. So that's who I have them taking. Their backup options were Onyeka Okongwu and Patrick Williams. And I bet you guys are very excited for this moment, because this is the moment where you don't have to listen to me say it anymore. I've said it about 1,000 times already in this video. But let's keep you suspenseful for a moment. Derrick Rose, he might be gone. They're talking about some trades with him. Brown Jr., Luke Kennard's a guy that really came along this year, really stepped it up. I think he's safe. Galloway, he's been okay. Tony Snell, Luke King, Oregon rep, but unfortunately he ain't going to do much for him. Blake Griffin and Christian Wood are two really solid guys I like for the Pistons. I think they can go far away with that. Sekou Doumbouya, I believe, is actually a small forward, size power forward. I wouldn't have him listed as a center. He doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. So instead of having John Henson or Thon Maker or Justin Patton start for you, why don't you go get a power forward / center, the best center and the best player in this draft outside of Obi Toppin, in my humble opinion, Onyeka Okongwu. This guy, like I said, he reminds me of Wendell Carter Jr. He's a hustler on defense. He's very athletic. He's more athletic than Wendell. This guy can leap out of the building. He swats shots. He's very good defensively. He can step up and guard some guards at some points if they're not the fastest ones, if it's not the Kobe Whites of the world, the De'Aaron Foxes. But he could go up against some of the slower guards, some of the Chris Pauls, as long as he's not going through an ankle break or something like that. But Onyeka Okongwu, he has a lot of upside defensively. I think he has very high upside offensively. I actually think he probably has one of the best upsides out of everybody. And if you're recognizing this name from somewhere and you realize you didn't see him in college, you want to know where? He was teammates with LaMelo Ball when they went through all that overtime crap when the Ball brothers were popping off. He was the other guy on that team that was going crazy. Onyeka Okongwu, welcome to Detroit. Their runners-up for that were Killian Hayes and Tyrese Haliburton, two guards that could fill in the role of Derrick Rose when he inevitably leaves. But like I said, you fill in the center spot with one of the best guys in the draft. Then we get to the New York Knicks with the 8th pick. This pick is very interesting. There's a lot of options to go. They could go with Cole Anthony. They might go with Cole Anthony. I don't know, but they could go Tyrese Haliburton. But I'll tell you something. They need to go guard. They got their scorer, R.J. Barrett. They got Julius Randle. I don't know if you can go far with Julius Randle. I don't know. You got Mitchell Robinson and Bobby Portis. They're okay. Kevin Knox, he's okay. You need a guard. You need one of these guards that are left on the board. Alfred Payton, Dennis Smith Jr. Rick Ntilikina. I don't even know how to pronounce the dude's full name. Ntilikina. He doesn't play offense. He's literally a defensive specialist. Reggie Bullock, he gets some threes. But when I'm looking for them is a facilitator. I'm looking for them a guy that could score but also could pass and doesn't need to necessarily have the ball. Can let R.J. Barrett do his stuff if need be. And that guy is going to be Killian Hayes out of Germany. I really think he could translate very well onto the next team. You're not getting this guy to be a scorer for you. That's what RJ's role is. That's what Bobby Portis is there for. That's what Julius Randle is there for. That's what Kevin Knox is there for. You need him to be a facilitator. And if you look at it, 5.4 assists, about 12 points a game. He could be that facilitator for him. So If I'm them, I'm taking Killian Hayes. Their backup options were Tyrese Halliburton and Kyra Lewis. Kyra Lewis is actually one of the fastest players in this year's draft. Now we are at the Wizards pick. The Wizards, they are in a very interesting situation. I think this team could be a playoff team next year. You look at it, John Wall, he might be returning. Bradley Beal will be shifted back to shooting guard. And you don't have to worry about filling the shooting guard role. Yes, shooting guard looks very atrocious right now. Isaac Bonga as a starter, Gary Payton second. I think this is Garrett Matthews. It's not very enticing. They need more guards, that's for sure. Forwards, Rui, he was coming a long way. Thomas Bryant I would have as his center. Mo Wagner's the only other guy really there at the center position that I'd be comfortable with. Ian Mahinmi is not a guy that I'm very fond of. Thing with Pashniks. And then Davis Bertans, he's been okay. He can shoot the ball a little bit, but if I'm them, I'm taking a guy that can play small forward and power forward and maybe some shooting guard for you. And that guy is going to be... Is he on this part of the list? He is not. Do they have him listed as a guard? I feel like they did have him listed as a guard when I was doing my pre-planning. Yeah, they do. Patrick Williams out of Florida State. He's getting a lot of hype recently. He didn't play much. He came off the bench. He averaged about, I think it was, 9 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. But the guy has a lot of upside. I think he's one of the stronger guys in this draft. He has a lot of potential. But really here, it's just pairing the guys along. Move Rui back to power forward. Move Thomas back to center. You're filling that small forward gap. You have Bradley Beal, John Wall, Rui, Patrick Williams, and then Thomas Bryant. I mean, the team's not looking bad at that point. It's not, but if you're taking a guy here, you're really just trying to get them to be not necessarily. You don't need to get the Jaden McDaniels. You don't need to get the Cole Anthonys. You don't need an offensive guy. You need a guy that can have some offense, has some defensive upside, and gets you some rebounds. And that guy is a very young Patrick Williams. I think he's actually the youngest player in the draft, at least in the youngest USA player in this year's draft. So Patrick Williams, you are heading on to Washington. Then we got the other picks for the Wizards. I keep forgetting these other picks. The other options for them, I actually had them considering Devin Vassell and Aaron Nesmith, two guys that are off ball, can shoot the ball very well. You would pair them up alongside John Wall and Bradley Beal, who are both ball dominant. But at the end of the day, I think this was the best fit. Because both, John Wall can shoot the mid range. Bradley Beal can shoot basically around the whole floor. You need a guy that can be a little bit scrappy, and I think that's Patrick Williams. But then we get to the Suns at pick 10. I know exactly who they need. Look, 6.5 assists per game in college is really, really good. They need a facilitator. Ricky Rubio, I don't even know if he's going to be there next year for the whole year. Devin Booker, you got to piece somebody alongside Devin Booker that Devin Booker can work off of. You cannot have guys taking shots away from D-Book just because D-Book is that good. Tyrese Halliburton does not demand shots. 6.5. He can score, but he doesn't demand shots. He's got to be able to get to the ball to guys like Mikal Bridges and Kelly Oubre. He's got to be able to get the ball to guys like Cam Johnson. He's got to be able to get the ball down to DeAndre Ayton, Aaron Baines. You just got to be able to do it. And the best guy for that job is Tyrese Halliburton out of the Iowa State University. So their other options are Kyra Lewis and Tyrese Maxey. Kyra Lewis is a guy that I think could be very interesting on draft day. I think he could see a jump. I think he could get all the way up until maybe the top 6. But maybe even higher than the top 6. I don't know. But he's a very interesting prospect, Kyra Lewis is. But at the end of the day, I'm going with the safe bet. I'm going with Tyrese Halliburton. Then we get into the San Antonio Spurs. Now, this pick, I think, is a very Popovich-like pick. I don't even know, is he on this part of the list? He is not. But do they classify him as a guard, or do they classify him as a small forward? I don't know which this site does. They classify him as a small forward, or a shooting guard. But You look at this team, DeJounte Murray, a guy I really like. Derek White, he come off the bench. He's a really good player. Bryn Forbes, he can shoot the ball lights out. Patty Mills, he's a solid player. DeMar DeRozan actually got a trade rumor today to the Lakers. Keldon Johnson, Lonnie Walker, Marcus Aldridge, he's okay. He's kind of declining, but he's still good. Rudy Gay, he's still okay. Trey Lyles, okay. Jakob Poeltl, okay. Tyler Zeller, off the bench, okay. But what you really need for them is a shooter. A guy that can shoot the ball. A guy that feels like he will fit the Popovich system. And that guy is none other than Devin Vassell. I don't feel like Devin Vassell has crazy potential. I think he's one of the guys that could be a very long time starter for a team, just based off his skill. He can shoot the ball. That's all he really needs to do to be productive for the Spurs. I don't think he has anything crazy that maybe he's going to be the next Klay Thompson. I'm not saying that. But I really like his game off ball, and I think that's exactly what they need in San Antonio. Their other options in San Antonio are Saddiq Bey and Kyra Lewis. I just can't see them going with either of them. Which one is this? This is the Kings. Speaking of the devil, we got the Kings on. And the Kings, they're going after a guy that a lot of people are saying is one of the better players in this year's draft. A lot of people are hyping him up recently. And rightfully so, because he was the best player on one of the best teams in the country in Villanova. And that is Saddiq Bey. Saddiq Bey put up 16 points a game, about 5 rebounds, 2 assists. You're putting him on a team that they don't necessarily need. I mean, they are okay. They have De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Harrison Barnes, who we all know is. You have your own opinions if he's overpaid or not. Kent Bazemore's okay. Bjelica, you got Jabari Parker, Jeffries, Rashawn Holmes, and Marvin Bagley. Is Marvin Bagley the guy? I don't know. But Saddiq Bey, he fills in that forward spot right here that Jabari Parker might lack. Bjelica might lack. He could even run the small forward if you need him to, and get rid of Harrison Barnes' contract if possible. Saddiq Bey is the guy here for them. The only other people I had them considering is Aaron Nesmith for the off-ball abilities, and Jalen Smith to fill that power forward spot, because I think Jalen Smith is going to be one of the better power forwards in this year's draft. Woo! Got a lot of talking so far. Now we're at the New Orleans Pelicans. The New Orleans Pelicans, I'm going to keep it short and simple with you. They just got Zion, one of the most athletically gifted guys in all of basketball. You know how he can leap out of the building. You know how he dunks. You know how he does all that stuff. It's amazing. It's all inspiring. It's beautiful. You look at it, and you'd assume, hey, they don't need a guard. They Drew Holiday. He's mostly a guard. Brandon Ingram, he's a small forward. They interchange him on this website, but I'm going with the fastest player available in this year's draft. Why don't you combine the raw athleticism of Zion Williamson with the pure speed of Kyra Lewis out of Alabama and make something special. Make something special. Make that team crazy. Kyra Lewis is a guy I really like. I would be interested in him with Chicago. He's a very fast player. Kind of reminds me of a Kobe White. He can shoot kind of like Kobe could. Kobe White, not Kobe Bryant. But at the beginning of his career, he's mostly going to be a backup to Lonzo. Obviously, Lonzo has the defensive knack. He can also make some plays. So I don't see him coming in and being a starter or anything like that, but I could see him coming in off the bench and providing some spark to the team when it's needed. So I'm going to take Kyra Lewis here to the Pelicans. Then we get at pick 14 here for the Boston Celtics. Short and simple, they are in best player left scenario. I mean, you look at their centers, maybe they could use one. Maybe they could possibly look at an Onyeka Okongwu if he falls. Maybe they could possibly look at an Isaiah Stewart here. Maybe they could possibly look at one of the bigs. I don't know. But I will tell you, this guy right here, Kemba Walker, you got to start thinking about life without Kemba. That's what you need to start thinking about. And the guy that I believe is the most interesting prospect for the Celtics, you need a guy that he could be great. He could be. You don't need him to be great, but he could be. That guy is Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony came into the year possibly being a top 5 pick, and he just didn't live up to expectations. I think there's still some of them in it. You can maybe pull that out of him eventually, and go for it. Cole Anthony. Go to the Celtics. There are other options there. I actually had them thinking of backup options. And those backup options were Tyrell Terry. What just happened? It's supposed to continue. It is supposed to continue. It's supposed to be the full draft. Hello? Yeah, but their backup options I have are Tyrell Terry and Tyrese Maxey. Hold on a moment while I get this back started again. Yes, go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to breeze through this. We're going to breeze through this. I might edit it out. I don't know. I don't know. But let's get through this real quick. And we're back. Sorry about that. The website didn't do what I needed it to do. But we are back. The Magic are now on the clock with pick 15. The Magic, if you look at their roster, kind of need some guards. They kind of need some guards. Terrence Ross is okay at the small forward. Jonathan Isaac, Aaron Gordon, they both run the forward. Vooch is fine. Mo Bamba's backup. But you need a guard. And I think the best guard available here is Tyrese Maxey. You could maybe consider a guy like R.J. Hampton. He's been all over draft boards. Nobody really knows where he falls in line. But for me, Tyrese Maxey is the safest bet if I'm the front office in Orlando. So the Magic, I have them going with Tyrese Maxey. The other options there are Tyrell Terry and R.J. Hampton. Then we got the Trailblazers on the clock. The Trailblazers, you look at it, you got Dame and CJ. These are two ball-dominant guys. You need one of these guys on the small forwards to step up. Trevor Ariza, he plays defense. Rodney Hood, I don't think you're getting him back. They might get him back this year. I'm not sure. But they need a shooter on this team. And one of the best shooters in this year's draft, in my opinion, is actually out of Vanderbilt. Let's see if I can find him here. Let's see. Wow. Wow. He's not even on this list. Please tell me he's a small forward. Is he listed as a small forward? He might be listed as a small forward for these people. Yes, he is. Thank you. I don't have to go through this other stuff. Aaron Nesmith. Out of Vanderbilt, he could shoot the ball very well. 23 points a game. As you can see, he was kind of like the primary guy there on Vandy. You put him alongside CJ and Dame. You let him be himself. You don't have to force anything. Very simple basketball. Then we get into Minnesota Timberwolves. I just had them draft Anthony Edwards to fill in that small forward role. Like I said, you kind of need to find that big man. Which big man do you want on this team? And to me, you get the physical one out of Memphis. You get the guy that's willing to bang some bodies while Cat does his stuff, while Karl-Anthony Towns plays the stretch. Precious Achiuwa can even stretch the ball a little bit, stretch the floor a little bit. So I don't think this is a bad pickup. Average 15 points, 10 rebounds. He's not afraid to get in there and get a rebound. Precious Achiuwa is a guy that I think could step up in the lack of intensity that sometimes that Karl-Anthony Towns shows. And other guys that are options here are Robert Woodard. He can hit the three ball. And then you also got Jalen Smith here. That could also be a very interesting pickup for the Timberwolves. Then we get into the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks actually have them taking one of my favorite guys in this year's draft, which you'll see tomorrow might be a Chicago thing. But is he even on this? These people are... Whoever made this website is terrible, I tell you. They're terrible. I need to scroll all the way to the T's. B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V. Let me see if I can find it. I need a T, E, T, E, T, E. There he is. Tyrell Terry. I got this guy, man. This guy has a very high basketball IQ. Very solid out of Stanford. He killed Oregon a few times last year. You put him in there. He doesn't need to do anything necessarily offense. He just needs to be a smart player alongside Luka. And that's exactly what you're getting him for, is to be another smart player on that team. You're bringing him in to pair him up with Luka, to pair him up with Kristaps, to feed the ball to Kristaps when he needs to. It's a very interesting pick up there. The Nets, they need off-ball. They need off-ball because you look at this, Spencer Dinwiddie, he's going to be on ball when he does play. Karis LeVert, he's kind of off-ball. But you got Kyrie sitting around. You got KD sitting around. They're both going to play. You need an off-ball guy. Josh Green's a guy that hasn't shown that he can shoot yet. We thought he could coming into college, but he hasn't proven consistently. He can hit the shot, but not on a consistent basis. If he can develop that shot in Brooklyn, they could be a deadly team. They got to bank on the fact that he's a decent defender, 3-and-D kind of guy, two-way player. Very, very solid pickup here at number 19 to pick up Josh Green and hope that he turns out into being a nice shooter for you. We got the Miami Heat. We all got to see this team a lot longer than I think we thought we would. This team is a team that needs another big. They were struggling. Or, my bad, I didn't even go over who else I had. I didn't even put in extra people for Brooklyn. Yeah, they need shooters. So probably Isaiah Joe as other guys. But Miami here, they need another big. We saw them struggle. They had to put Kelly Olynyk in at times in the finals. Obviously, something they didn't want to do. They even had Solomon Hill in there. They had Jay Crowder in there. I'm not necessarily sure they were really 100% sold on those guys being in the game. And one of the guys that I like, especially for them, is he not considered a forward on this thing? Like, these people are so dumb if he's not considered a forward. Bro. You're telling me I'm going to have to search through the names for S's? Okay. But while I'm looking for it, I have them taking Jalen Smith. He's a guy that I think is really good out of Maryland. He's a very solid player. He's gone a long way. Why is he not on the Smiths? Am I... Huh? I'm not missing him. Jalen Smith. Oh, I guess I did miss him. But he's a second-year guy from Maryland. He's really developed a long way. He's got decent footwork. He's a decent defender. He has a pretty high upside. I don't really think he'll fall to 20. A lot of teams are interested in around the mid first round, round 14 to maybe 17, maybe late lotto. There's a lot of teams interested in Jalen Smith. I don't know if he will slide to 20, but if he does, he are stupid if they don't take him. They need to fix what their problem was last year. Bam got in foul trouble. What do you have? Kelly Olynyk, he stepped up at some points, but you need a more consistent option, and that guy's going to be Jalen Smith. And he should be good for him. Philadelphia. The 76ers, I think we all know what they need. They need shooters. They need off-ball players. Ben Simmons is there. Joel Embiid is there. There's no more room for people to hold the ball. Nico Manning is immediately crossed out. R.J. Hampton is immediately crossed out. Jaden McDaniels is immediately crossed out. Very interesting, but I actually have them going with one of the better shooters in the league last year. Out of a fairly, relatively unknown basketball school. I mean, obviously TCU is a big school. Why is Io in here? Okay. I like it. That Io is represented on here, but he did not. He did declare, but he went back. Let's see here. Desmond Bain, yes, TCU, Desmond Bain, a guy that I really like. He might be anywhere from late first, from about the Sixers pick to anywhere in the second round. He can shoot. He has some upside as a shooter. He could be a very solid. He's a little bit of a scrappy guy. I would be interested in him. But I mean, he's kind of a good fit here for Philly. So I think they can't pass up on a guy like Desmond Bain who can play off ball and complement their pieces. Some of the other guys I got them considering are Robert Woodard and Jaden McDaniels. Jaden McDaniels, like I said, he should be crossed off, but he's the best player available in my opinion. It's kind of hard to pass up a guy like that. And then Robert Woodard, he can shoot the ball. I don't know how consistent it's going to be, just because we haven't had a very large sample size from him, but he looks like he's improved. Robert Woodard has. Then we got the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets, their team is fine. I don't know what they could do in this draft to drastically increase their chances of winning a championship. I don't know. So I actually have them taking a pick that they can wait a little bit for. They don't have to have him right away. They got Jamal Murray. They got Gary Harris. They got Monte Morris. They got Jeremy Grant, who I believe's contract is coming up. Will Barton's there. Torrey Craig's there. Millsap's there. Porter Jr.'s there. Bull's there. Nikola Jokic is there. You can wait a little bit. You don't need to go crazy. You don't need to go out for an R.J. Hampton. You don't need to go out for whomever might still be the top guys left. Just get your guy that you think you can develop. Jamal Murray's natural position is not point guard. It's shooting guard. And that means maybe go out and get a point guard that you can wait. You have 2 or 3 years to develop this guy. So when maybe Monte Morris dips or maybe Gary Harris dips and you move Jamal Murray back, Theo Maldone's ready. And that's what I'm banking on. I'm taking Theo Maldone if I am them. You got time to wait. Denver. Your other options there are R.J. Hampton and Leandro Balmaro. But I really can't see them taking R.J. It would be an interesting pick, but they need a little bit of a shooter that they can wait upon. Next, we got the Utah Jazz going up, and they will stop the fall of R.J. Hampton. R.J. Hampton could be anywhere late lotto to anywhere. He could even fall into the second round for all I know. This guy had potential coming into the year. He didn't play in college. He went to New Zealand. He's a very good player, but is our sample size enough? He averaged 10 points over there. He wasn't really a playmaker over there. how good is he really? We don't know. We don't know. He's banking off a lot of potential. So the Jazz, luckily, if he doesn't pan out, they have guys to rely on, like Royce O'Neal, Joe Ingles, Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley. Emmanuel Mudiay is not bad. Nigel Williams-Goss is not bad. Jordan Clarkson is not bad. Rudy Gobert is not bad. I mean, they do need backups, but everybody needs backups. But you have a little bit of fallback room that you can take a guy like R.J. Hampton. The other options there for the Jazz are Jaden McDaniels and Nico Mannion, two guys that I think could be very big scorers for him. But they have the opportunity to bank on some potential here. I think that's what they're going to do on draft night. So I have them taking R.J. Hampton. I've talked about him a little bit. I haven't talked about him as much as I did at Onyeka Okongwu at the beginning of this video, but a guy that I've been mentioning a lot in these middle around picks is going to go here to the Milwaukee Bucks. I said we don't necessarily know how good of a three-point shooter he is. We do know he's improved. Please tell me he's on this. Oh, I think I had him listed as a guard. I don't know why you'd have him listed as a guard. Where is he? Robert Woodard. There he is. This guy, he shot 42% last year, improving from the 27% the year before. The combine, he had I think he was around, I don't remember what it was, but he shot very well from catch and shoot, standing threes. It's not necessarily going to be there off the dribble, but he's playing off ball. He's playing off Giannis. If the three is really there for Robert Woodard, he could be very successful in this scenario. Alongside Giannis, I think we all know what Giannis needs. We need spacing. We need spacing. You get it here with Robert Woodard. Robert Woodard's also not afraid to be a guy that puts his head down and drives towards the basket. It could be very an interesting pickup there for Milwaukee. They might get a steal. The other options for them are Isaiah Joe and Emmanuel Quickley, just purely because they can stretch the floor. Then we get into the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Oklahoma City Thunder are stopping the fall of one of the players I think might be a very underrated talent that could be the best player after the first 5 or so players, with the most potential after that. Outside of maybe waiting for maybe you think R.J. Hampton does, but to me, outside of maybe the top 5, let's just say top 10. This guy has a lot of potential. Jaden McDaniels is the guy out of Washington. I really like this guy coming into the year. He's a very lengthy guy. He has potential defensively. It necessarily hasn't translated into the college game, but I can see him being a good defender. He could get that to that level. He's a guy that he's going to be beneficial not off ball, with the ball in his hands. The Thunder, they do have Shea. They do have Chris Paul. Chris Paul might be shipped out. Shea's going to be running guard. But Steven Adams doesn't necessarily demand. Gallinari plays off ball. Luguentz Dort does not necessarily need the ball in his hands. Your second option to Shea could easily be Jaden McDaniels. And that's exactly what I have them going for. Jaden McDaniels, I believe, also played a little bit of small forward, kind of point forward for Washington. So I do know he can handle the ball a little bit. So it's not a terrible pick here to take Jaden McDaniels. He's gonna take his shots. And on a team like the Thunder, who are young, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. So I mean, their other options for me at least is Paul Reed, simply because they need a stretch 4, and so they can move Gallinari to the rightful small forward position in Paul Reed. And Isaiah Joe, just because Isaiah Joe's a phenomenal shooter. But I got them going there with Jaden McDaniels, who I think could be a very big steal for them if they were to get him. Then we get to the 26th pick. This is held by Boston. Boston, I had them take Cole Anthony. They got their star for the future. Possibly. They got a lot of forwards. Jason Tatum, I mean, he's a power forward, but who are you going to have if Jason Tatum gets some foul trouble? Who are you going to have as a backup option? This is where I go say, you know what, let's start looking at the future of this team. Let's start building up the bench at the forward position. I got them going with a stretch forward. I don't have them going with the best forward on the board. at least in my opinion, and Zeke Naji. I don't even know if they consider him as a forward or a center on this website. We'll see here in a moment. But they might not even have him. They might not even have him listed. If they don't have him listed, that's unfortunate. That is really unfortunate. Let's see here. Elemental, PQ, Oh, these are all the centers, aren't they? Yeah, they are. So you got to go to forwards. But for them, I think Paul Reed is going to be the guy. Let's see if I can find his name here. Paul Reed, he was okay at DePaul. He was able to stretch the floor a little bit. Reed, there he is. Yeah, but he was able to stretch the floor at DePaul. He was an okay player. He looked like one of the better players in the country. I don't know if this is because DePaul wasn't that great or if he's just that good. But he's able to stretch the floor a little bit. He could be a steal. I don't think he has any crazy potential to bank on. I think he's just a guy that's going to get in there, give you some work. He could have an immediate role within the offense and just be off the bench kind of guy. I don't think he's going to be necessarily the best player on the team or anything like that, but he could definitely be an impactful player off the bat. The other options for them are Nico Mannion and Vernon Carey. Obviously, Nico Mannion wouldn't be needed if they already went with Cole Anthony, so Vernon Carey would be the next logical pick for them, if anything. And then we got the New York Knicks with their second pick. Their first pick, they took Killian Hayes. With their second pick, I got them focusing on the big aspect. I don't know how much you're going to get out of Bobby Portis. Mitchell Robinson, I like, but Julius Randle, he could be on or off. It's about 3 serviceable bigs. I mean, Mo Harkless could play small forward. I got you going with a guy I really like. I got you going with a very athletic guy. I got you going with a very good stretch guy in high school, at least. We saw the 3 ball in high school. We didn't see much of it. We actually saw him be a paint presence, a dominator in the post, and that was Zeke Naji out of Arizona. I think he is really good. I think he might be one of the more underrated players in this year's class. Look at it, 16 points, about 8.5 rebounds a game. The kid's good. The kid's good. He can play defense. He can somewhat stretch the court. I don't know whether he's declined in his shooting, but he had the 3 ball in his arsenal at one point just 2 years ago in high school. I don't think it's that far off. Zeke Naji should be very good. He should be a steal. Zeke Naji, a guy I would love to have in Chicago, but obviously we got to take him here with 27th for the Knicks. Then we got the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, I don't know if this guy is going to be here on this board. I do not know. He is not on this board. But the guy that I have them going with is actually a guy out of a small college called Charleston, and that is Grant Riller. I don't really see them going in Nico Mannion just because Nico Mannion is a really far out there pick for a team that needs players to not use the ball. They need it to go to LeBron. They need it to go to AD. Where is the R's? They don't need a ball dominant player. I am very stupid. But they don't need a ball dominant player. Grant Riller, he's a guard. He can get the job done. I don't think he really. Maybe you bring in an Isaiah Joe. Maybe you bring in Malachi Flynn, who's an aggressive, scrappy little guy out of what's this school that he was at? Where did where's I don't even remember the dude's school. Wow, I'm down bad. But Grant Riller, a guy I really like out of Charleston. I think he'll have a very San Diego State is where Malachi Flynn's from. But Grant Riller, I think he could be anywhere from the late first round, middle second round. It's an up in the air thing with him. He's coming out of a smaller college, so don't expect him to jump too high. He jumped on my board, but don't expect him to jump too high. Then we got the Toronto Raptors getting a guy that I really like. Now, I might have to search for him too, but this guy is a very athletic, long, lengthy dude. I think he has a lot of upside. He scored 14 points, 9 rebounds a game. He has the energy in him. And that's Tyler Bay out of Colorado. I've seen him play twice. He played against Oregon. He was a very interesting player to watch. You gotta keep your eyes open if you're playing against him. You gotta be careful. He can come in and possibly be around the backup for Pascal. If you don't run Rondé in there, he could possibly come in and be another option instead of Anunoby or Norman Powell. But Tyler Bay, I think, is a safe bet here. Let me get the Celtics. The Celtics, listen. If you're the Celtics, you already got your future potential star. You got a quality player. Now, why don't you dip into the EuroLeague basket and get Alexei Poskuse? I don't even know how to pronounce the dude's last name. I just know it's Alexei out of Greece. 10 points a game, 7 rebounds. We don't know how these EuroLeague players will transfer to the NBA. Everybody's different, but go after him. Go after the EuroLeague guy. Finish it off in the first round. And the only other options for them are Vernon Carey and Isaiah Stewart just because they need big help. But then we get into where I need to change to my actual app that I have my picks on because now my notes are done. But we get Dallas here. Dallas is a team that I think could use another big. Yes, they do look like they have a crowded big scenario here. Maxi Kleber, Kleba, my bad, should be behind Porzingis. MKG should be over here. Justin Jackson should be over here. Dwight Powell's okay. Willie Cauley-Stein's okay. Whatever. But if I'm them, I'm getting a big guy. I'm getting a guy that I think has potential still, and that's Vernon Carey. He has some upside. He could have been a lottery player at one point, but he just wasn't. But I don't think it's that risky of a pick there with Vernon Carey. Charlotte, another team. Like I said, I could see them going big in the first round. I could see them going Onyeka Okongwu, but they went with the rising potential star in LaMelo. I got them here taking their big. Finally, he's actually not on this board, but he should be on this board. If he's not, I'm going to be mad. Oh boy, he's not. Unless he's considered a forward. Is Daniel Oturu considered a forward on this? Oh boy. O2, LMNOP. Daniel Oturu, let's go. Daniel Oturu out of Minnesota. I think he came a long way from his freshman year. He developed footwork. He was able to stretch the floor a little bit. He might have some trouble because they played the offense through him. And not necessarily every team's going to do that, especially a team that just has Devante Graham there, might be picking up LaMelo. It's not necessarily a given that they're going to give them the ball and let the ball feed it through the post, but Daniel Oturu is not a terrible pickup if I am the manager over there in Charlotte. Then we get to the Timberwolves. Timberwolves are a team that I think from this point on, you got your two scrappy guys. You got your guys willing to be energetic. Well, you got your one scrappy guy. You got your star here. Why not add another scrappy guy? Go get that boy out of San Diego State that I was referring to earlier. Go get yourselves Malachi Flynn. Where is he? He is not on here. I need to go all the way down to the S. LMNOP, A, B. Oh my goodness, I can't do the alphabet. Flynn. Malachi Flynn. Let a guy out of San Diego State. I got them taking him here. Then we get to Philly. Philly should be, like I said, they went Desmond Bain. Why wouldn't they stick to the trend? Why wouldn't they go with another shooter? And I believe this one should be under guards and maybe not. I don't see him. But this guy's going to be at the very bottom. QRS. Emmanuel Quickley. He's known to be a shooter. That's exactly what they need over there in Philadelphia. So why don't you go get yourself a shooter? Next, we got the Sacramento Kings up, and I think there's a pretty high chance they do this. I really wish there was a search option here. But this guy is out of Argentina, and it's Leandro. I don't know how to pronounce this dude's name. Leandro Balmaro. He's pretty solid. Balmaro. Huh? Balmaro is not on this list. I am 98% sure Balmaro is not on this list. Balmaro. Yeah. Great job, whoever made this website. Phenomenal job. Left off Leandro Balmaro. So we're just going to pick this dude. Just because I don't... But that's Leandro Balmaro. If this website was actually any good. Now the 76ers are back up, and you know what? They said, you know what? Screw it. We're taking the best guy available. We're taking Nico Mannion. We're taking him. We're betting on ourselves. We're taking him. You don't necessarily need him, but we're taking him. Then we get to the Wizards, is it? Yes, it is. And the Wizards, I have them taking a guy that I really liked at one point, and I kind of fell off his train. He's a guard out of Texas Tech. Is he on this? He is. Oh, he is. Okay, Jamius Ramsey. He's going to be a scorer. He projects to be a scorer. I don't know what else, if you can get much else out of him, but he should be fine. Plugging into that system over in Washington. Then we get to the Knicks. Listen, you got your two guys. Let's get a shooter on here. I feel like that's my favorite thing to say. Let's get a shooter. Let's get a shooter. I mean, a shooter's never hurt. Isaiah Joe, a guy that I love. I've been saying it for a moment. I've been saying that since what, mid-first round? Isaiah Joe finally getting drafted. Welcome to the New York Knicks, buddy. Then we get to the Pelicans. The Pelicans here, they got a spot, and I actually do have them taking this guy right here, Isaiah Stewart. Listen, you got your fast guy. Now you just got to plug in some holes. Maybe add another guy here. Center, Derek Favors doesn't have much time. Jaleel Okafor, Jackson Hayes should be good, but you need another guy. That guy is going to be Isaiah Stewart, who at one point could have been a lottery pick. Then we get to Memphis. In Memphis, I have them taking a former teammate of Jaren Jackson Jr. I got them taking... Is he going to be on this list? Hey, boy. Is he considered a... No, they're going to... I guarantee they're going to send... They're definitely going to consider... PQRST. Yeah, they did. Unless I didn't see Tillman. No, I didn't. Yeah, but they're definitely considering him a power forward. Yeah, but Xavier Tillman, a guy that I think is pretty solid here. You're pairing him back up with his former teammate. He should be okay. He's a bigger, stronger guy than what you get with Jaren Jackson. He should be a little bit more physical in the paint. Could fit in behind Valanciunas. So I like Xavier Tillman there. Then we get the Spurs. The Spurs, now look, they already got Devin Vassell. Let's say, you know what? Let's finally get another guy that kind of reminds you of Pop. Because that's what we do here in San Antonio. We look at the forwards and we realize that Killian Tilly is still on the board out of Gonzaga. We realize that is a guy. By the way, Leandro Balmaro is actually on the board. I don't know where he just came from. But yeah, that other guy is Balmaro. But is Killian Tilly on this list right now? Let me know. PQRST. Tilly. Bro. This website sucks. This website actually sucks. He's listed as a center. He is listed as a center. Oh, I didn't even see him. What? But Killian Tilly. Killian Tilly is the guy here. He's a Spurs kind of guy. He just is. Pelicans, listen. You got your fast guy. You got your potential star at the big man spot. You know what? Just get a well-rounded player. Get yourself Trey Jones and pair him back up with his boy Zion. How about that? Let me get the Kings back on the clock. I got them taking a guy that could be a steal in the second round. This guy is out of Syracuse. He's a guard. He is Elijah Hughes. I think he has some solid upside. Not necessarily. I don't really think he's a first round upside kind of guy, but he's okay. I could easily see him going in the second round. He's a good player. He's a good player, but where is his name? Hughes. These people don't know how to make their freaking players in the spot. Hughes. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Why is he a small forward? He is a shooting guard, but okay. But Elijah Hughes. Then we get into the Chicago pick. I have the Chicago Bulls. They got their forward. I have them adding a real point guard. A real point guard. And Cassius Winston. Welcome to the team, buddy. Welcome from Illinois fans to Michigan State fans. Welcome into my home, man. We got Cassius in Chicago now. We're all fine now. We're all fine. I'll take him in. All right. We got the Magic. This guy is going to be Jordan Nwora out of Louisville. I think he could be a very solid scorer off the bench for him. Could work out, could not. Who knows? Portland. I have them taking Khalil Whitney. At one point was a lottery projection. He fell off too. Could still possibly be there. Boston. I got them taking Udoka Azubuike out of Kansas. He has some issues, but he's an older fourth-year man. He's going to probably be a more impactful now player. You could probably trust him. Golden State, I got them taking a guy. Why don't they ever have it on the list, man? But Skylar Mays. Out of, where is he from? LSU. He's he's okay. I wouldn't get too excited about him, but they don't necessarily need a guard that's going to be crazy. They need a guard they can develop, and I think Skylar Mays might be one of those guys that they could possibly develop in the future. Then we get into 76ers. Why don't we add another shooter? Devon Dotson out of Kansas. Bring him on in. Then we got Atlanta. Atlanta, they're fixing up this travesty of whatever this is. They are going out and they're getting themselves a center who might be considered a power forward on this. Who knows? But they're going out and they're getting themselves the Kentucky Nick Richards. Oh, let's go. He's on this. Let's go. But they're going out and they're getting themselves Nick Richards. Then we got the Warriors back up again. And I got them taking a known scorer out of Seton Hall in Miles Powell. We got the Kings back up again. Let's see if this EuroLeague player is on here because the other ones weren't. Hello, does this thing not want to work? Wow. Let's see. Yamadar. Yamadar. But he's okay. He's been getting some hype recently. Yamadar has. He could be interesting. He's definitely gonna be a prospect for the Kings, but they have time to wait. The Thunder, I got them taking Jalen Scrubb. He could be a very solid player for him. I don't know why they don't have their names on these front pages, because a lot of these guys are bums. But Jalen Scrubb, that's the guy right there that we are going with for the Thunder. Then we got the Pacers. I feel like this is the Pacers' first pick. They are the first pick of the draft. And I got them actually taking a guard here in Tyshawn Alexander. Let's see if he needs to be researched. He does need to be researched. I shouldn't have to go far for this. They consider him as a small forward, don't they? They consider him as a small forward. These people are terrible. They never use this website. Never use it. Alexander. He's not even on this. Tyshawn Alexander. I hate this website. I hate this website so much. But yeah, them taking Tyshawn Alexander. I might have to do the thing with the pick a random player and say it's Tyshawn Alexander. I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah. That is going to be what we're going to have to do. That Hendry Dell. You are Tyshawn Alexander. Then we get into the Brooklyn Nets. Like I said, team needs off ball. A guy that's off ball is Reggie Perry. He could be okay for him at a Mississippi State. I got them taking him low risk, low reward, or a little bit of a reward, a little bit. Then we got Charlotte. I got them taking a guy that could be a boom. Definitely couldn't be a bust because obviously he ain't going in the first round. But that's Cassius Stanley out of Duke. He has some upside. I don't know how much, but he does have some. If they consider Cassius a small forward, I'm going to be so mad. They definitely do. Okay, I'm just going to go here and research Stanley. Research Stanley. Stanley. LMNOPQRS. There he is. Cassius Stanley out of Duke. He will be going 56th. Then the Clippers are taking that Oregon boy, the hype man himself. He's not on this list, but he's on the guards list. I've seen him 1,000 times already. It's that boy, Peyton Pritchard, who's going to come in and be an impactful player right away for any team. Let's go, Peyton. Then we got Philadelphia. Philadelphia, once again, rounding it off with the most Philadelphia-like thing. You know what? Let's get another scorer. You know what? Let's go get ourselves one of the best scorers in all of basketball, and Marcus Howard out of Marquette. But it's a pretty solid pickup. 59th, we actually do have the Raptors. They draft a small forward here. And his name is not on the board. Nice. But it's Josh Hall. Josh Hall out of North Carolina. And the last pick, Mr. Irrelevant himself, is out of Penn State. Yes, Penn State. It is Lamar Stevens. I think he's a very solid player. I've seen him play one too many times against Illinois. But he's pretty solid. He is pretty solid. Let's see here. Where is he? There he is. But that rounds it out for the draft here. For round 1.0, I think we went a little bit over an hour. But quick recap: we got Anthony. You can see who he took here. Over here, obviously, Yamadar. This guy is Tyshawn Alexander in this because they didn't have him. Who else was on this that we made a random? Oh, this who was this? That was Leandro Balmaro. Balmaro, I don't know how to pronounce the dude's name, but that was there. So, anyways, thank you guys for watching the first mock draft. There will be another one coming out on Tuesday before the NBA draft. We might get some trades in that one. It'll be a little bit more